I want to thank you for this afternoon. Lord, we are grateful that you have given us life and that you have brought us together. Even as we go into today's session, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. Lord, help the facilitator even as he does the facilitation. And we pray for the rest of the schools that are joining in. The Lord, they will be able to join in and be part of what is going on. We give you praise, we give you glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank
Jared,
you for
you're
that.
welcome.
Thank you for that, Paul. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to welcome you to another installment of the online classes brought to you by Edify and JS Virtual Learning. And just some house rules as we are getting into this so that we can have the best experience. The first one to note is, please, unless you're saying something, please keep your microphone muted. There is an icon that looks like a microphone at the bottom of the Google Meet application, both on on the laptop and also on the phone. On the phone, it's stuck in the middle at the bottom. Just ensure that it has a it's cancelled through for it to be muted. And then if you want to say something, you will click it again to unmute it. On that same note, if you want to say something, there is an icon that looks like a hand that's raised at the bottom also. If you click it, the moderator, the teacher will know that you want to say something, and then you'll be given a chance to talk. So please use it as you see fit. In addition, if you're on your phone and you want to have a good viewing angle of the videos, by default, when the screen is shared, like right now how the screen is shared by the teacher, you should be able to see the full screen view. But for the teacher, if you want to see his full screen video, you can see the account written Isari on at the right hand side of that account. Just next to the name Isari, there is the 3 dots. If you click them and then you click full screen, you should be able to see the full screen view of the video. So please use that. If you want to get back into the default view from the full screen mode, still next to the name Isari on the right side, there's something that looks like a plus. You can just click that and you'll get back into the default view that has the presentation. In addition, please ensure that as you're joining, please change your name, edit it out to have the name of your school so that we can know which school you're coming from. And if you have any comments, you can also put them into our chat. If you're on your phone, there is an icon, there's a 3 dots icon at the bottom right. If you click it, you should see in call messages. You can use that to type messages. There's even some emojis that you can put in case you'd like to convey some message. Maybe you like something. I've put one so you can see that. You can also use it. Otherwise, thank you for joining and have a great presentation. I will invite teacher Willie to take us through SST now. Over to you, teacher Willie.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, members. I'm glad to be with you this afternoon. And it is day for social studies. and religious education. I call upon you members to actively participate so that the lesson moves on successfully. I enjoy a lesson whereby people ask, we share the ideas, instead of leaving the teacher talking alone throughout the entire lesson. So members who are on board with me, feel free to unmute whenever you are called upon and raise your concern so that we move on well. I've been told that a big number may not be part of us because they are in holidays, but those who are with us, please represent that big number or the number that has not been able to join us so that we make the lesson interesting. Members, it's time now, and last time we had moved up a bit far. This is the work that I prepared last time, and we did not finish part of it. So we need to begin from where we ended and proceed. So good afternoon to you all once again. And I don't know whether, let me try to see whether members are moving with me. Okero, please unmute and say hi to me. Okero,
Yes, yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Thank you.
Wow, that's great. You can please mute now.
Okay.
Next, who else could I talk to here? There is Junior, Wisdom Junior. May you please
yes,
unmute?
sir.
Wow, good afternoon, Junior.
Okay, sir.
Wow, that's great. I'm glad to be with you, and I'm very delighted to hear your voice this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm following, sir.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Thank you.
I think now, last time we had moved as far as the number, we had gone up to section A, but still we can make a review. Could be you missed. We can make a review of what we covered the previous lesson so that we get to know whether we are moving on the same track. And I will be calling members to support me in the reading. We read, discuss, get ideas, expand on that very number. You may look at a number and you are saying, these are common numbers that we do revise every day. No, we bring such a number and we give room to expand more about that area. Could be the area we are elaborating more about, so where the number that will be set in PROE. So feel free when we introduce a number so that I get time to elaborate more about that number, bring other concepts, bring other questions related to that may come towards our end of year. So number 18, as the start for a review of the previous lesson, we had one factor that has led to big numbers of people living in towns. This is P4. Primary 4, when we talk about migration in our district, we talk about our district, people in our district. We talk about migrations, that's primary 4. So may I ask my friend Okero, the first person I spoke to bring about, what could be the factors that bring big numbers in towns? Mr. Okero, we are free to share, even if teachers, pupils, don't mind.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Yes,
Yeah, as the question is saying, we should give at least a factor which has led to big numbers of people living in towns.
Yes, sir.
For me, I do think that the first factor is there's a lot of employment in town. So job opportunity is one of the factors making more people to stay in towns compared to urban, compared to rural areas.
Okay, that is from Mr. Okero.
Yes.
Could you be having another factor apart from job opportunities? apart from job opportunities. Wisdom, please come in and give a hand to Mr. Okero so that we can move. Factors that have contributed to the number of people living in towns.
Yes, he's very right.
Yes, sir.
Then for me, I would like to bring a point of good social services.
Wonderful.
Good
Better
social
social
services has
Great.
led to so many people to migrate to towns.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, thank you very much. So what all this about migration? Because what brings all about a big number in towns is that migration, that people migrate from different areas and come to towns. What attracts them in towns? Number one, we said job opportunities, and it's a fact. Then in number two, we have better social services, which is also very correct. Now, when we are encouraging, since they have asked for number one factor in section A, we can take any of these two. But still a child can break under social services. A child can say presence of better schools in towns, presence of better hospitals, better security. Now, these are the social services. So my concern this afternoon is that whenever we are teaching these learners and they are dealing with a number in section B, where they are told to give any three factors that contribute to a bigger population in an area, and the child may fail to get the third point if the child gives better social services and employment opportunities. What do we advise them to do here? If it is section B, we advise them to break the social services so that for better earning of marks. Instead of saying better social services, encourage them to say towns have better schools, towns have better hospitals, towns have better security. So those are the social services, and each point is giving under social service is given a mark. But should that child start with the better social services, then part B on the second answer gives towns have better schools, towns have better hospitals. We marry those points and the child end up getting one mark. So let's put emphasis on that, such a number, in case we come across such a number. Another point now, under still this area, we said it's time to discuss such numbers and elaborate more about them. We have what we call migration. We define migration right from P4 as movement of people from one area to another for settlement. What we shouldn't leave out whenever we're emphasizing the definition of migration is the word settlement. Once it is left, that child is losing a mark. The movement of people from one area to another for settlement. Then we discuss different types of migration or terms related to migration, where we have rural, urban migration. We have rural migration. We have urban migration. We have terms like immigration. We also have another term called immigration with the E. All these, they are very important, and we usually test them in primary 7. Some are even left out. For example, this is P4, P5, P6, P7. Beginning with immigration with the E. We emphasize that, before I continue, may I call upon Okero? Please, Okero, you are requested to unmute and elaborate more about immigration with the E. How do you define this? Immigration? Okero, feel free.
Yes, please.
What is how do you define immigration?
That's the movement of people from one place to another to settle permanently in another area.
To settle permanently in another area. Thank you for trying. That is with the E. Then we have Okero, still Mr. Okero. We have immigration with the I. How do you explain this one? Immigration with I and immigration with E. Let's go to I. How do you define immigration with IMN? Mr. Okero, feel free. So that
somebody can help me there.
Okay. Let's move to Wisdom Junior. Wisdom Junior, please come on board and we look at this. What is immigration with IMN? Wisdom Junior. Okay, I think I can come in so that we move. Mr. Okero, whenever you are emphasizing and teaching these learners, these two, immigration and immigration, they sound to be having the same pronunciation, though the spelling differs. This is the movement of people. You encourage them to use this word out. Immigration with the letter E is the movement of people out of a country for settlement. The movement of people out of a country for settlement. That is immigration with the letter, beginning with the letter E. Where you see immigration with the I is the movement of people into. This one is into, this one is out. The movement of people into a country for settlement. The movement of people out of the country for settlement. Let's take a note of these two. Immigration with the I is moving into. Immigration with the E is moving out of the country. Mr. Okero, hope we are moving together. And Wisdom Junior.
Yes.
Wow, that's great. Let's take a note of that. Then we have, these ones are common, urban, meaning movement of people from one town to another for settlement. We shouldn't forget the word settlement. Urban, rural, urban, movement of people from villages to towns for settlement. Rural to rural, movement of people from villages, from one village to another for settlement. Now, what is usually tested here? Let's go to the point. What is usually tested here is what is the cause? What could be the cause of rural-urban migration? This one is very common. Even learners can give the answers very fast. Why people leave villages to towns? This is very common, commonly examined, commonly tested, and children can easily come up with the answers. For example, that people move from rural areas to urban areas to look for better paying jobs, to look for better schools in urban areas, to look for better hospitals in urban areas, to look for areas with electricity. Very clear. Now, another point which is usually tested and can disturb them a bit is why people leave towns and go to villages. That is urban-rural. Urban-rural migration, leaving towns to go to villages. The movement of people from towns to villages for settlement. What are the possible causes of this? And taught in which class? Primary 4. Wisdom Junior, kindly come up on board and we share. I've been sharing with Okero. I need the other members also to unmute so that we can move together. Please feel free. We are sharing ideas. We are trying to fill our gaps. Where you had a gap content, please fill that gap and we move together. Junior, I will be calling you the name of the school. Wisdom Junior, kindly unmute and give me some of the possible causes of urban-rural migration. Why do you think people leave towns and go to villages? My friend Junior, what has happened? You mean I'm going to be interacting with one person, Okero? Yes?
Yes, one of the factor is to look for fertile land for growing crop.
fertile land.
Mm.
Okay, now you use a noun
Mm.
to look for enough for growing crops. Great. Let's look at other points. Enough land for growing crops. Another reason why people leave towns and go to villages is loss of a job. Loss of a job. It is a factor that can make you leave town and go to village. Loss of a job. Another cause is retirement. Retirement can cause you leave urban areas and go to rural areas because you have retired from your work. You need to go to a place where you can be maybe looking at monitoring your investments. You have to leave town and go to villages. Another one is job transfers. Job transfers. People can leave urban areas and go to rural areas because of job transfer. You've been transferred from Kalesashom, from Kampala to Nakapiripiriti. You have to leave and go with could be your family, and you settle in Nakapiripiriti. And what has caused that is job transfers. So we have about 4 points here that can force people leave urban areas and go to rural areas. That is urban-rural migration. You can see Muhimbise. Muhimbise, you are most welcome. I'm glad to see you back on the net, and I will be requesting you to unmute and we share ideas. So job transfers can cause people leave towns and move to villages. Retirement is a cause. Loss of a job is a cause. Then to look for enough land for settlement. Those are some of the reasons as why people leave urban areas and go to rural areas. Causes of urban-rural migration. Thank you. We are now leaving that number and we go to number 18. 19. 18 has been done. And now there is a number. Before you leave 18, as we handle candidates, there are some vocabularies we use, and these vocabularies can make our children go off. Okay? Yet we need them not to go off. We need them to earn that mark. Which vocabulary so far? There are factors that can contribute to population growth. And there are factors that can check the population growth of an area. Let me first write those words. There's what before we discuss all the terms of population and what, we may not go in details. But I sample some of the words that can be used. And these vocabularies can make our learners lose a mark. There is check. There is increase or population growth. I will begin with factors that can lead to population growth of a given area. I can see my friend on camera as Senka. Is it Ismail? Ismail, kindly unmute and say hi to me. Ismail, may you please unmute and I hear your voice. Senku, yeah, it must be Ismail. Okay, I can even see students in the background there, and I need them also to be part of this team. But as he's getting back to unmute, we are looking at factors. Wonderful. Hello. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Ismail and the team. Okay, let's move on. We have factors that can contribute to population increase in a given country, in a given area, in a locality. And these are some of the factors. We talk about polygamy, the culture of polygamy. We talk about early marriages. We talk about but before we go to look at improved medical services and what, okay, improved medical services. early pregnancies, ignorance about family planning. These factors can contribute to population growth of a given area. Mr. Okero, are we moving together?
Yes, we are together.
And these are the factors that you've been teaching?
Yeah.
Great. Polygamy, or the culture of polygamy, early marriages, improved medical services. We have early pregnancies, early marriages, and ignorance about family planning as factors that can contribute to population growth of a given area. Then we also have factors that can check. The word check is another vocabulary that usually make our learners go off. To check, what does it mean? To check. Mr. Okero, do you have any idea about this word? Factors that can check the population growth of a given country. Or how can the government of Uganda check its fast-growing population? To check. You find only one word like that. You taught your learners very well, but when I'm setting or someone else is setting, uses that vocabulary and the learners go off. Factors that can check the population growth of a given country, or factors that one way the government can check its fast-growing population. Mr. Okero, you've been my immediate person responding to me. Please respond and we move. I can see Mr. Muhimbisi. Mr. Okero.
To me,
Yes,
when I think that when we talk of check, it is like our government of Uganda can control the population growth in the area.
Okay. You deserve it. Now.
You're welcome.
The word to check is to control. Check is to control. Now, what they assume that to check is to find out the population growth. And the immediate answer they usually give is by carrying out population census. Because of failure to use the right vocabulary, the common answer that they give, which is wrong, is by carrying out population census. Yet to check means to control. Now, we have, how can the government check its fast-growing population, like the government of Uganda? What our government of Uganda has to do to check our fast-growing population? Number one, by discouraging polygamy, the culture of polygamy. Because we know what polygamy contributes to. Discouraging early marriages. Then we also have discouraging early marriages, encouraging family planning. Then promoting girl-child education. Because when you educate a girl child, the more years a girl child is kept in school, the less chances of that girl child producing. So when you promote girl child education, you are controlling the population growth of a country. And even you are contributing to that. A girl child may have knowledge on how to prevent unwanted pregnancies. So promoting girl child education, discouraging early marriages, discouraging polygamy as ways of controlling the fast growing population, and emphasizing or encouraging family planning. Question on check, what are these natural hazards? We have what we call natural hazards and man-made hazards that can check the population of a given country. Since we've known that the word check is control, now let's look at the natural hazards. What are the natural hazards that can check or control hazards, natural hazards that can check the population growth of a given country. Yes, Edwin has joined, but still I will continue with the Okero as Edwin comes on board. Edwin, may you please
Yes, Mr. Isabure, I think that one of the natural hazards will be the earthquakes.
It's a natural hazard. Wow, there we are moving together. You can get, I can see someone also on board. Who is the Ismail? Ismail, may I hear from you? So that it's not only Okero. Ismail, and I can see
I'm
students
here, sir. They are here.
Their voices, please. What are these natural hazards that can check the population of a given country? Candidates, please. May I hear from you? Natural hazards.
Landslide.
Oh, wow. Landslides. Landslides is a natural hazard. Wow, it can check the population of a given area. So far we have two. Any other apart from those two? Landslides, earthquakes. Let me add and we move. Volcanic eruptions. Volcanic eruptions, they are natural hazards. We have two more. We have natural hazards. Earthquakes, landslides, volcanic eruptions. Then
We have floods.
wow. Floods. Great. So these are natural hazards. We also need to hear from what are the man-made now? If these are natural hazards and they can check our population growth, let's look at the human-made or man-made hazards. Man-made hazards that can check our population of a given country. Man-made. Let me hear from my people. Yes, I can see Mr. Waluo. Mr. Waluo, I can see your hand up.
You can talk about war.
Wars. Thank you very much, Mr. Waluo. Wars is man-made. The wars are man-made. They are not natural. Wars and man-made hazards, and they can check the population of our country. Thank you very much, Mr. Waluo. That's great. Now
You can also talk about diseases like COVID-19.
COVID-19. Mr. Waluo, thank you very much. But we have not yet proved that diseases like COVID-19 was man-made, though we had rumors that it was man-made. But we put diseases under natural hazards. You have reminded me, diseases are placed under natural hazards. COVID-19, we have not yet proved it, but we had rumors.
Yes, we have robbery.
I think
Robbery.
robbery.
Mm.
Thank you for trying. Is accidents. You can call them transport accidents. Transport accidents, man-made. Then we also have fire outbreaks. Fire outbreaks is man-made and can reduce or check the population of a given country. Thank you very much. I think we can leave this number about migration and population. At least there's something we have taken note of so that we can go and discuss other areas. But that is one of the most failed part in that area. The moment you change only one word, one vocabulary, factors that can check the population growth of a given country. How can Uganda, a country like Nigeria, check its first growing population. You have to bring the other idea. Check. What does check mean? And they are the same answers. We apply. So we move to number 19, and I'm going to request you. Oh, Edwin, you got lost. I can't hear from you. Please, if you can unmute, and we read number 19.
Edwin is the co-host.
Please. Edwin?
Edwin is the co-host.
Oh, thank you very much. Edwin, that's why. Okay, I know now. Let's move to number 19. Mr. Okero, let's go to 19.
Okay, number 19 is that anyone important of organizing cultural ceremonies among communities?
Yes. Yes. And I can't. Ismail, you have a very big team there. I need them. I want to hear their ideas. Ismail, please unmute, and I hear from that big team as they take note of these points. And I'm actually very happy that they are taking notes. They are taking notes. I'm very happy. So may I hear from one of those candidates?
Culture ceremonies promote morals among younger children.
Wonderful. Culture ceremonies promote morals. Wow, that's great. I want to hear from those little voices. Thank you very much. Culture ceremonies promote morals. Culture ceremonies promote peace. Culture ceremonies promote, what else do they promote apart from morals and peace? Mr. Okero, apart from morals, what does what do culture ceremonies promote? We said the peace, morals. There is one that you have not mentioned.
Cultural ceremony also promote unity.
Wow. Unity. Now, here comes a number. By the way, this is P1, P2. But when we add differences to primary 7, someone may think that the number is very hard about culture. May I call upon my team, that team that is taking notes about Ismail's team, Senkunja Ismail, to give me one candidate to define culture, to give us the meaning of culture. What does the word culture mean? One candidate to represent. One candidate giving us the meaning of the word culture. Oh, okay. I think Mr. Okero will come on board and we move. How do we teach these learners to define culture, to give the meaning of culture?
So culture can be defined in different ways, but I want to give this one. I feel this one is a little bit easy for learners to give. That culture is the way how people behave in a given society.
Very good. Very good. Very good. The way people behave in a given society. Another one can say culture means acceptable ways of behaving in a society, which is the same. There is one thing we usually omit when we are teaching, Mr. Okero and other teachers and my colleague, my candidates who are there, that when we are handling this culture, we forget some areas. And what we forget is what they usually bring. I don't know whether, Mr. Okero, you have ever taken trouble to teach these learners types of culture. Mr. Okero?
Yeah. Mr. Okero? Yes.
Have you ever taken to teach these learners?
Yeah.
Now, we have Mr. Okero?
Yes, the types of culture that I always give my learners are, we have what is called the material culture.
Wonderful.
Then there's what is called a non-material culture.
Great. For you guys, You are excused for that. You've not been omitting that. But many of our colleagues omit those types. And when we are setting, we ask for the 2 types of culture. Even we go beyond and ask examples of material culture, examples of non-material culture. Okay? So we have material culture and non-material culture. We need to emphasize that we are nearing PLE, and PLE does not mean P7 living examination. It is primary living examination, whereby numbers or items are brought right from primary 1 up to primary 7. And the biggest number we have is based from primary 1 to primary 6. Primary 7, just a small percentage. So we need to take a note of this lower class work and give them attention, more attention. Good. So we have 2 types of culture, material culture and non-material culture. We've looked at the importance of culture. And we said that culture promotes peace, culture promotes morals, culture promotes unity. Very clear. Very clear. Now I go back to number 20. 20. Please, may I ask my candidates who are taking notes to take us through number 20. Still, number 20 will take us to a lower class, and we shall advance up to primary 5 and 6, even 7. But looking at that area of number 20, my team from Senkunja Ismail, let me have one candidate there. Read number 20.
Why do leaders in the villages or zones made by laws?
Wow. May I hear from you? Why do they make bylaws?
To maintain peace.
Please, you can to maintain peace. Great. You deserve this. To maintain peace. They make bylaws to maintain peace, promote order, promote development. Now, still, I don't want to leave that team because I can see a big number taking notes. What are bylaws? Before I leave you, my candidates, and I continue with another person. What are bylaws? Even Mustard has joined us. Let me hear from Mustard Junior. Anyone or any candidate, even if there is a teacher, please come on board and we give the meaning of bylaws. Mustard Junior, you are free to unmute and we share ideas about bylaws. Okay. How about my team from Senkunja Ismail? You are free to unmute and we share the meaning of bylaws. Okay. Mr. Okero, please come and we drive the boat together. Let's drive the boat together.
Bylaws are laws made by the local council.
I beg your pardon?
Bylaws are laws made by the local council. Bylaws are laws made by the local.
Wow, you have passed. You also deserve a hand clap. That bylaws are laws made by local councils. If you don't use local councils, you can use local authorities. We've seen the importance of bylaws. Now, some years back, Mr. Okero, let's share ideas.
Yeah.
How I define
Okay. That question is a little bit tricky in this way that, okay, we know that district is also part of the local council. Then sub-county is also part of a local council. But the challenge now comes when we are saying bylaw is a law set by the local council, while in the real sense we know that districts and then the sub-county, they are all under the local council. But districts, they make what is called they come out with what is called the ordinance. So that things always confuse me. I always go and I say bylaws are laws set by the lower local council. That is to say the sub-county, because districts always they give what is called they come out with what's called the ordinance. I think that I'll get clarity from you now.
Thank you very much. I've liked Mr. Okero. Mr. Okero, thank you very much for that explanation. Now, that's why I said to Mr. Okero, may you please clarify how you've been teaching bylaws. At first, teachers would say bylaws are laws made by the local government or made by the district. But for bylaws, we have specifically given them to local councils or local authorities. Then at district level, as Mr. Okero stated it, we use ordinances. Ordinances. Now, those are at district level. We say these are laws made at these ordinances. Ordinances. Now, that is at district level. Laws made at district level are called ordinances. But for the local council or local authorities, we stick on bylaws. Members, I hope, Mr. Okero, thank you very much for that point.
You're welcome.
Yes. Local councils, we give bylaws. Importance of bylaws, cleared. Now we have that under which ministry is in charge of for example, local councils. The local councils are under which ministry? Let me ask my team from Ismail. Ismail and the team, which ministry, under which ministry do we put local councils? Local councils under which ministry? My team. From Ismail, Senkunja. How about Mustard Junior? Mustard Junior. I've not heard anybody from Mustard. Please take your support. Maybe you are recording. But if you are not recording, please unmute and we share ideas. The way Mr. Okero is making the lesson interesting by sharing ideas with and even my friends, okay? Thank you. So for ordinances, we are giving them to districts. Then bylaws is local council or local authorities. And the ministry responsible for the local councils is Ministry of Local Government. Ministry of Local Government. Oh, that's great. Now, we don't want to waste time. But before I leave that area, see, I told you that one number, we should discuss it and see that nothing is left. Under local councils, we know that LOC is local council, but what we usually leave out as teachers, and we assume that these candidates know, are the members on the local council committee and their roles. So someone can just set one item from there, and yet taught in primary 3, a candidate forgot all the work of primary 3, and what will happen? That number is a lost mark. I would like to hear from this team of Senkunja Ismail. One of the candidates, tell us how many members make up the local council 1 committee. You are free. It is a P3 number. Unmute and tell me how many members make up the local council 1 committee. Executive. All. I don't see the hand up. I beg your pardon?
10 members.
10 members. You hear, Mr. Okero, I think you are taking a note. Any other idea apart from 10 members? Yes? Hello. Are they real 10? Mr. Okero? I can see Mr. Okero coming and
I thought that one some years ago. I think there are 9,
They are nine.
if I'm not forgotten.
That's right. Mr. Isabili. Mr. Isabili. Could you be having anything to say about the members? No. Now, Mr. Okero, that's why I told you we shouldn't leave the stone unturned. We should keep turning that stone until we get where we want. And you told this some years ago, you left that class, so that item can be brought on board. These members are no longer 9. I remember we started with 9, we moved it to 10, but now we have 11 members. Today we have 11 members making up the LOC1 Executive Committee. Even my team from Senkunja Ismail, or team Johnny Mike was joined. We have 11 members making up the LOC1 Committee Executive. And Mr. Okero, don't just stop there on those members. You say, yeah, my learners, they know there are 11 members. Please go further, dig further, and make sure they know out of the 11, do your learners, are they able to mention at least 4? Can they mention at least 4 out of 11? Can they give the roles of each of those 4 members? That is an assignment that we should do. Ensure that these learners are, because that is a P3 whatever, but it can be brought in a paper, P7 paper, P7 PLE, and our children lose mark. Very clear. I can say, for example, I can set it in section B. Number 1, write LC in full. That one they pass. Then part B, mention any, apart from the chairperson, because that one is a very common LC1, give any other 3 members or found on the LC1 committee, executive committee. Then you will see that, you have already taken the one we know. Now, where will I get the 3 marks? Yeah? Where will they get the 3 marks? So we need to ensure that these children know the members on the LOC committee. Beginning with the chairperson LOC1, whose role is to chair that committee, LOC1 committee meetings. Then if this person is deputized by the vice chairperson, that one also they know, because we usually test that one, that who is responsible for children's rights. They can give you very fast. The vice chairperson, meaning they only know 2 members on that LOC committee out of 11. So if they can give chairperson and vice chairperson, then how about other members? I can come on board and say, wow, teachers have taught very well these learners. Now, may I go further and say, which member? Mention the member on the LOC1 committee executive who is responsible for women's affairs, for affairs concerning women. And now, what will I get from my candidates? Let me hear from Senkunja. Ismail, I can see many candidates there. Let me get one mentioning the member of the LOC1 committee in charge of the affairs concerning women. Please come on board. I know the community where you come from, there are women, you have mothers there. So which member on the LOC1 committee is responsible for women's affairs?
Secretary for Women.
Secretary for Women. Wow, you got a mark. I like that. Now, which, that is Secretary for Women. Still let another candidate get a mic. Which mention the member on the LOC1 committee executive who records minutes that have been discussed. The one in charge of recording minutes that have been discussed. Hello? I think I will engage Mr. Okero now, since they are keeping quiet. The one in charge of...
Obviously, that one will now be the General Secretary.
The General Secretary. But as they should also take a note that I'm going to ask them to give me 4 members on the LC1 committee executive, apart from the chairperson and the vice chairperson. So they should be taking note, those learners, I need more 4 members. The one in charge of writing minutes, we said is a general secretary. Then after general secretary, we start a line of secretaries. Secretary for women, secretary for defense, secretary for finance, secretary for persons with disabilities, secretary for the elderly, and many others. So may I call upon one candidate from Senguja Ismail to mention 4 members found on the local council 1 committee executive. Apart from the chairperson, let me remove the chairperson. If I can get one candidate giving me 4, then that one would have made my day. Who is that candidate? Oh, okay, they have kept quiet, Mr. Okero. These learners are keeping quiet. They don't want to give me other members. But I will not stop there. I will continue asking them to mention 1 member on the LC1 committee. Mention how vice chairperson. Yeah, well, you have given me 1.
Secretary.
I wanted 4.
General secretary.
General secretary,
Secretary
correct?
for women.
Correct. You
Secretary
are
for
remaining with
women.
2. Secretary for women,
Secretary.
wonderful. 1 more.
Secretary for the youth.
Yes, you get a T. Secretary for?
For the youth.
Secretary for the youth. You have reminded me. Secretary for the
And
youth.
the secretary for
Now, I will pick a question from
Elderly.
there. And for the elderly. Wow. Now, before you mute your mic, why should the youth be represented in the parliament? Why should the youth be represented in the parliament? Now that is I've advanced it now to P7 level. Why should the youth be represented in the parliament? Yes, my friends. If you have kept quiet, Mr. Okero is coming in to support me. Mr. Okero, why should the youth be represented in the parliament?
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity again.
Yes,
What I know is that in Uganda we have many youths whereby all of them cannot be part of Uganda Parliament. So what always we do is to send our representative in order to express our view in the Parliament.
Oh, the youth.
Yeah.
So the youth should be represented to express their
Yeah.
to present their
Yeah.
wonderful. The same applies for the elderly. They also need to be represented in the parliament, to present their problems in the parliament, to express their needs or views in the parliament. Thank you, Mr. Okero, for supporting me. And as we move on. Great. Now, as I leave that number, we've been looking at leaders. Oh, I shouldn't leave that number. I was about to forget. I can see Mr. Okero James. Your hand is up. Can you mute?
Yeah, thank you so much. Before you leave that number, there's this point I need to share with the candidates online, whereby it seems to be easy, but when I was marking the mock for the district tomorrow,
Yes.
I have seen how candidates fail that number, but most of them were complaining that they were very correct.
Yes.
So there was a question asked that who is the political head of a district? So the question seemed to be The question seems to be very easy,
Yes,
whereby you get a candidate saying LC5, you get another candidate giving the names of the person, but the advice that I want to give my candidates who are online is, once the question is asking you about the political head of a district, maybe of a sub-county, let's not just go and then we say, let's not just say either chairman, okay, some people just say chairman, others just say, okay, they just let it hanging like that. I advise you that word chairperson is very important. When you're going to say, you say local council 5 chairperson, or you say local council 5 chairman. Don't leave that word chairperson or chairman in your answer. When you talk of only local council 5, we should understand that in a district there, we also have LC5 councillors. For a candidate who say local council 3 is the head of, is a political head of a sub-county. You understand that in a sub-county, we have also the local council 3 councillors. So the real answer for the district should be local council 5 chairperson or local council 5 chairman. Same apply to the sub-county. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Okero, it's as if you studied my mind. I had said that I shouldn't forget this one. And exactly what I was leaving is what you came up with. So I wanted to emphasize these areas, administrative levels in a district. So we have village, zone, parish, we have sub-county, we can go to municipality. After municipality, we can move to district. I shouldn't stop on district. I can even move to what we call ministry. Then I also talk about country. So as you've heard from Mr. Okero and teachers who are online, we need to emphasize these things. They look to be cheap and taught in which class? Primary 3 and 4. But this concept, this area here, need attention. For example, in a village, we have a political head of a village. Members and my team, take a note of this in your fact book. Those who are writing, that the political head of a village is LC1, chairperson. The political head of a village, chairperson LC1 or LC1 chairperson? LC1. The political head of a village can be called a zone. These two can be married. It is a village or zone. Then a parish. A parish can also be married by a ward. This one is LC2, chairperson. Don't forget the word chairperson. Even Mr. Okero has emphasized that. And after marking the mock exams, he realized that many candidates failed that number. Village can be called a zone. Parish can also be stroked by ward, depending on the administrative area where you live. Then we also have what we call a sub-county. Sometimes it's stroked by division. The political head of a sub-county, this one has been in Piero East several times. Every year, at least, they pick a number in Piero East from this area. Okay? Now, sub-county, the political head is LC3, chairperson. Then for municipality, we have what we call a mayor. The political head of a municipality is a mayor. My friends, hope you are taking note. Then as we move to district, the political head of a district is LC5, chairperson. or chairperson LC 5. We move, we've not stopped at district level. We have gone to the ministry. Even in the ministry, there is a political head of a ministry. Every ministry has a political head. Who is this person? Is a minister. A minister is a political head of a ministry. Then we got the highest level, which is the country, and the political head is a president. Political head is a president. Take a note of this. Then from here, I will pick a question and say, name the smallest political unit in a country. I would like to hear from Mukwaya Joshua. Mukwaya Joshua, if you can help me unmute and tell us the smallest political unit in a country, or the smallest political setup in the country. Oh, Mukwaya, you are not able to unmute. Let me hear from my team from Ismail Education Center. The smallest political unit or setup?
Local Council 1.
It is Local Council 1. Oh, Local Council 1 is the smallest. I agree with you. Now, before you mute your mic, what is the smallest social setup of people in a community? The smallest social setup of people in a community or in the district? My team. I can see your mic on. Ismail? Smallest social setup of people? I can now take it to Mr. Okero. They have kept quiet. Mr. Okero, come.
It's the village.
Yeah?
It's the village.
The village. For the village, that is but I remember, Mr. Okero, we looked at organized and economical. So social, the smallest way they organize social is that they were organized in the families. The smallest social setup of people in the community is a family. Then from a family, you advance to a lineage. From a lineage, you advance to a clan. Actually, is it a clan? Yeah, clan. From a clan, you advance to a tribe. Then from a tribe, you advance to an ethnic group. So the smallest is a family. The smallest social setup of people in the community is a family. Now, when we go to, as far as administration is concerned, we have political structures and different levels. At the smallest is LC, it is a local council 1, or which is at village level. Then the highest is the country. Is the country. I have a question here, my candidates to share with that we've looked at this ministry. A ministry, the political head is a minister. But a ministry has what we call the highest civil servant. And I would like to hear from this team of Senkuja Ismail. Who is the highest civil servant in the ministry? That number is also common, and get ready for it. Who is the highest civil servant in every ministry?
Permanent secretary.
Permanent secretary. How about at the district level? Wow, great. But how about in the district?
Chief administrative office.
Highest civil servant in the district? Great. And there is one person representing the entire team. Yet I would like to hear from other members there. But thank you. Could be that you are sharing together. Yeah, chief administrative officer. Now, still before I leave you, this is a topic in primary 4. What type of leader is the chief administrative officer? That school. What type of leader is the chief administrative officer? Hello?
Leader. Civic leader.
He's a civic leader. I like that. Now, my last question within that area is what type of leader is the RDC? RDC?
Civic leader.
RDC. I beg your pardon?
Civic leader.
Civic leader. Oh, thank you for trying. Now, Mr. Okero, you are coming in to save us. This number is controversial. I will tell you. First come in, then I will tell you how we need to tell the learners to take a note of it. RDC, what type of leader is that RDC?
Indeed, that number is tricky, but I go with civil leader.
Now, Mr. Okero, listen. When we are teaching types of leaders, we teach 5: political, civic, traditional or cultural, religious, and voluntary as types of leaders, 5 of them. We also teach how they assume offices, how they come into offices. And we say political leaders, we say it through elections. Voluntary leaders through volunteering. Cultural traditional leaders through inheritance. We moved ahead and say religious leaders through ordination. And I left civic leaders through appointment. Now, members, listen. All civic leaders, we said they are got through appointment. And that's where we mess up. Now, RDC is appointed by the president. So, should we say RDC is a civic leader? The answer is no. No. We civic leaders are got through appointment, which is very correct. But we have some political leaders. We said the political leaders are got through elections, very correct. But we have political leaders are got through 2 ways. You can get them through elections or appointment. For example, an RDC is appointed by the president and is a political leader. Ministers, they are appointed by the president. They are political leaders. They are not elected, but they are appointed. So they stand as political leaders. So when we are emphasizing this, that's another number that RDC is not a civic leader. RDC is a political leader, though not elected by people, but appointed by the president. Mr. Okero, I do believe that point is noted. RDC is a political leader.
Yes, sir.
Yes. And the role of the RDC, one is to chair district security meetings, represent the president at the district level, and also settle cases, issues, settle issues or disputes within the district. Could be land disputes that RDC comes in. So that topic is also looks to be easy, but we need to encourage learners to know how these leaders come into office and what type of leaders, and the importance of getting leaders through elections, through inheritance, through volunteering, through ordination. May I ask them, my learners from Sekuja Ismail, what type of leaders are got through ordination? One candidate to unmute. Mkwaya Joshua, I've not heard any voice from that area.
Religious leaders.
Oh, they are got through ordination, meaning that they are ordained to serve God. They are ordained to serve God. That is And you remember very well when we are handling CRE, ordination, holy ordination is a sacrament. There are 7 sacraments in Christianity, and ordination is one of them, whereby you are prepared to serve God, to become a servant of God. Well, let's leave that number and go to 21. Which group of foreigners built Fort Jesus at Mombasa in Kenya? Group, Senkunja Ismail. May I get from my candidates the group of foreigners who built Fort Jesus? Group of foreigners who built Fort Jesus. That is primary 6, term 3. Which group of foreigners were these people? If you remember P6 work. They are the Portuguese explorers.
Portuguese explorers.
Wonderful. They came from which continent? Yeah, you are correct. They came from which continent? They came from
Europe.
Portugal. Yeah, they came from, yeah, actually. The continent is Europe. The country is Portugal. Okay? I can see Mkwaya Joshua now online. You are welcome. Yeah. They came from Europe, country called Portugal. They based from the city called Lisbon. That's where Vasco da Gama started this journey. And these people built Fort Jesus in Kenya. Why did they build Fort Jesus? Mkwaya Joshua, we are sharing ideas. Feel free with us. Why was Fort Jesus built by the Portuguese at Mombasa? Please unmute. Unmute your mic. Mkwaya Joshua, your mic is muted. Pass unmute. Yes.
Yeah. To act as a resting place for their sailors.
Act as a resting place for their
sailors.
Sailors. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mkwaya. But Mr. No, there is some. We need to put it right.
Well, Fort Jesus was built for protection.
Yes. It was mainly for protection or to store their weapons, armed weapons of defense. That's why they built that area, fort, and they named it Fort Jesus at Mombasa here at the coast. Fort Jesus. Remember, they were Christians. So they knew that Jesus can protect, give protection. So they named it Fort Jesus as a store of weapons for protection. Mr. Mkwaya, what you are giving, that answer can serve why they settled at the coast of East Africa. The Portuguese explorers, why they preferred settling at the coast of East Africa. There are about 4 answers. They wanted to spread Christianity. They wanted to have a resting base for their ships. They wanted to start to break Muslim domination. They wanted to control coastal trade. Those are the 4 main reasons why they settled at the East African coast. Have a resting base for their ships. Spread Christianity at the coast. Break Muslim domination. And to control coastal trade. Those are the Portuguese explorers. But Fort Jesus was mainly for protection or storing their weapons of defense. And it was built by the Portuguese explorers. In last year's PLE, we had a number still on the Portuguese explorers. And the question was, how was the discovery? How did the Portuguese explorers benefit from discovering a sea route to India? That was in last year's PLE. How the Portuguese explorers benefited from discovering a sea route to India. And may I hear from my school, Senkunj Ismail Education?
How did they benefit?
Yes. How they benefit. Yes. Mr. Okero, are you helping us? How did these people benefit when they discovered a sea route to India? Okay. Mr. Okero?
Yes.
How did they benefit from India?
They were able to transport spices from India.
Oh, great. Mr. Okero?
I said they were able to transport spices from India to their country.
Very, very good. So, thank you, Mr. Okero. The reason why these people were interested in finding this sea route to India, one, they did not want to pay high taxes through the Ottoman Empire. This area was shorter and nearer to India here. But because they were overtaxed here, they were paying a lot of taxes through this area, the Ottoman Empire. They said no. You know, every trader, and one of the reasons problems affecting traders is high taxes. So every trader would wish to carry out trade in an area where they are not overtaxed. So these people said, if we are overtaxed by the Ottoman Empire, why don't we use this route? Even if it is a longer route, but when we are not being overtaxed. So they decided using a sea route. So when they discovered this sea route to India, how did they benefit from it? The benefits are they stopped paying high taxes. That's benefit number one. Because they were paying a lot of taxes via the Ottoman Empire here. So they stopped paying high taxes. Then two, they got spices and silk, the way Mr. Okero stated it. They were able to get spices and silk because those are trade items that they were looking at targeting in India. They wanted spices, they wanted silk. So when they found this sea route, Allah, they were very happy. Then that is zero under for the Jews rule. And for the Jews, actually, they usually bring. Once they pass the other, you expect that number about the Portuguese. Now we want the positive effects of Portuguese settlement at the East African coast. Positive effects, the good things that happened when these people settled at the East African coast. What were these positive effects of Portuguese settlement at the East African coast? My school with those candidates, please, one of you come, if you remember very well, primary 6 work, come and support us. Positive effects of this settlement at the East African coast. Mr. Mkwaya, are you the one coming on board? Or I can see a hand from Ismail. Ismail Education Center. Positive effects of Portuguese settlement. Positive results. Mr. Mkwaya, are you ready for one? They're about 4 or 5. You can give me one.
Reduce Fort Jesus.
Okay, Mr.
Reduce Fort Jesus. Reduce Fort Jesus.
I heard from. Wow, that is one. Is it a positive one? Yes, it is a positive one. Because today I will actually come back and ask you the importance of Fort Jesus today.
Another one is they spread Christianity in East Africa.
Wow. So thank you. They spread Christianity. It is a positive effect for the Jews rule at the East African coast. Another one from my good team, Ismail Education Center. Christianity, Fort Jesus. Yes.
They promoted it.
Can I add another one?
They promoted it
They
trade.
promoted trade.
They
Okay,
promoted it
trade may
trade.
not. I'm getting you, but trade, the coastal trade. Trade was already promoted there. Let's not take trade. Trade, okay, it is a point. I've taken it because they started bringing in the spices and silk. It is a point. You earn a mark. Positive effect. Mute the mic. Good. Yes. They introduce new crops. They introduce new crops. It is a positive one. These Portuguese explorers, when they settled at the coast of East Africa, they also introduced new crops. Now, before I give that number, there is a question, and I want, how is Fort Jesus economically important to the people of Kenya today? How is it economically important to the people of Kenya today? Fort Jesus, economically important. Mr. Mkwaya.
It attracts tourists who bring income.
Thank you, Mr. Mkwaya. That is an economic importance. Now you use the mic. Mr. Mkwaya, use the mic. Economic importance. Use the mic, Mr. Mkwaya. Oh. Good. Again, it's back. Yeah, great. So, Fort Jesus, economic importance, attracts tourists who bring income. Now, I'm going to forward another question to my team, Ismail, Senkunja. Social importance of Fort Jesus to the government of Kenya today. If economic, it attracts tourists. Now I need to know the social importance of Fort Jesus to the people of Kenya. Social importance. If the economic importance that it attracts tourists, what is the social importance of Fort Jesus to the government of Kenya? Mr. Okero, I think you can come in and save us and remove. Social importance of Fort Jesus. You see language. Language can make a child go off. If the economic importance attracts tourists. Now, what is the social importance of Fort Jesus? Okay. Now, I think Mr. Okero is also not ready to unmute. But the social importance is that Fort Jesus is used for study purpose. Today, it is used for study purpose. Excuse me. And another economic importance of it, that it provides jobs to people. Mr. Mkwaya, on addition to attracting tourists, another economic one, it provides jobs to the people of Kenya. People are employed there. So it's another, those are two economic benefits. Then one social benefit that is used for study purpose. We can now proceed to another slide. Another slide. Okay. Now, we're on the next slide there. Mr. Okero, are you still on air? Take us through number 22.
Number 22, it reads, mention the certain group of people who settle in Ituri Forest in Congo.
Yes, who are these people? The shortest race, the shortest group of people who settled in Ituri forests of Congo. Where is the Congo here? It's around here. Who are these shortest people who settled there? They are the shortest people in the world. Mr. Mkwaya.
The Pygmies.
The Pygmies. Thank you very much, Mr. Mkwaya. But still help us with the spelling. Mr. Mkwaya, spelling of Pygmies.
P-Y.
P-Y.
G.
G.
M-I-A-S.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkwaya. Those are the Pygmies. Thank you. You can now mute the mic. Great. So the Pygmies are the shortest group of people who settled in the Ituri forest in DRC. And they are believed to be the earliest people to live in Africa. The first people to live in Africa are believed to be the Pygmies. But if you go back to primary 5 history, they will give you the Bushmen. If you set a number asking who are the original inhabitants or in Uganda or East Africa, we shall still stand on Bushmen. But if it is Africa, the earliest people to live in Africa are the Pygmies. If it is East Africa, we are taking Bushmen. The way we have a number that who are the first people to settle, to migrate and settle into Uganda, we have the Bantu. That is primary 5 history. Then when we go to primary 6, who are the first group of people to migrate and settle into East Africa? We don't take the Bantu. We take the Kushites. East Africa, Kushites. Uganda, Bantu. Now, for the earliest people to live in East Africa, we take the Bushmen. But the earliest people to settle and occupy Africa, we take the Pygmies. So take a note of that, my friends. We go to 23. 23, Mr. Mkwa, where is Mr. Okero? Mr. Okero, have you done? Mr. Okero, can you hear me? Mr. Mkwaya, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, please read number 23.
One.
First unmute your mic. Mr. Mkwaya, 23.
Okay, it reads, state the social effect of the movement of the Boers from the Cape Colony to the interior of South Africa.
Wow, thank you very much. Now, these honors. Senkunja Ismail, my candidates, we were taught what we call the Great Trek. May I hear from Senkunja Ismail, what was the Great Trek? Senkunja Ismail, meaning of Great Trek? What was a Great Trek? Hello, my team. Okay. Come on board. Great Trek. You candidates. Great Trek. Okay, Mr. Mkwaya, come and save the situation. What was the Great Trek?
Now, the Great Trek, it was the massive movement of the Boers from Cape Colony deep into the interior of South Africa.
Wonderful. You have that good definition. Is very clear, precise and clear. Okay. The movement, the massive movement of the Boers from Cape Colony to the interior of South Africa is what we call the Great Trek. To trek means to move or to walk along a journey on foot. We have people who trek all the way from Kenya, all the way from Tanzania to Namugongo. That is you when it matters. for matters, when they are going for the matters, they trek. To trek means to walk a long journey. So even this was, the Great Trek was the movement of the Boers. They moved all the way from Cape Colony to the interior of South Africa. And there are reasons as why they moved. And I would like to hear from these candidates, what were the causes of the Great Trek? Causes of the Great Trek. Don't leave for Mr. Mkwaya alone. May I hear the causes of the Great Trek? Hello? What were the causes of the Great Trek? What caused the Great Trek? There are about 7 factors. May I hear from these candidates, at least giving me 2? Because in the period, they will not ask more than those, in case the number appears. Candidates from Ismail. What was the Great Trek? You have defined it. Mr. Mkwaya helped us. But
By the British.
I beg your pardon? Yes, the British imposed the high taxes to the Boers. Very clear. Mr. Mkwaya, you could be having other points.
High taxation by the British.
That's one. Another one. Mr. Mkwaya?
The abolition of slave trade by the British forced the Boers to move.
Wonderful.
Population
Abolition of
increase
slavery.
has followed.
I beg your pardon? Population increase. There is a point I would like to hear from this learner. Okay. Now, Mr. Mkwaya, let me, you have another additional point before I summarize mine?
Yes, I have.
Yes.
The introduction of English as the official language forced the Boers to move.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Mkwaya. Now, let me also simply, but what we need to do, Mr. Mkwaya, is to eliminate some words so that we make the points easy for the learners. Mr. Mkwaya, even if you... Yes? Okay, Mr. Mkwaya, even if you say introduction of English as the official language, the child will earn a mark by the British. Because the more the words, the harder the statement will be for the learner. So it's better we reduce the words and we make the point precise for the child to recall. Now, these were the causes. Number 1, the British introduced high taxes to the Boers. The British stopped the Boers. Mr. Mkwaya used the word abolition. Abolition may be hard for some of our learners. That vocabulary, abolition, is a very hard one to some of our learners. So instead of using abolition, you say the British stopped. To abolish is to stop. Stopped the Boers from carrying out slave trade. The British introduced harsh laws to the Boers. Introduction of harsh laws to the Boers by the British. It also caused them to move. Introduction of English as the official language caused them to move. So causes of the Great Trek: 1, high taxes introduced to the Boers by the British. The British stopped the Boers from carrying out slave trade. The British introduced harsh laws to the Boers. And the British introduced English as the official language. Those 4 points are enough that caused these people to migrate to different places because they couldn't accept what this new actually, even some learners say the coming of the British as just that, an independent point like that. Still a child will earn a mark. The coming of the British. It was a factor that if these people wouldn't have, they wouldn't have come. These people would have remained there if they had not come. So the coming of the British was a cause of these people also to move. Now, when they moved, Mr. Mkwaya, take a note of this, because this number came in period last year. But last year, they were not asking social effect. They asked for the economic effect. So, economic effect of the movement of the Boers, these were the economic effect. That it led, I would like to hear from these learners, they are unmuting. What was the economic effects of the move of the Great Strike? Economic effect number one, it led to discovery of gold and diamond. That is economic. Discovery of minerals. It was an economic effect. Another economic effect, that commercial farming started in the interior of South Africa. Another economic effect, that the Boers introduced new methods of farming. Those are economic. But today we want to share what were the social effects of the Great Strike. Social effects. The social effect I can give you, that these people intermarried. It led to intermarriages. Where places where they moved to, they had to fall in love with those people. And they ended up marrying them. That was a social effect. It led to intermarriages. Hello, Mr. Mkwaya? Mr. Mkwaya, it led to intermarriages. Okay? Another social effect, it led to introduction of new culture. Those 2 points are social. Introduction of new culture, intermarriages. So now the 2 answers we have taken for the social effect, that it led to introduction of new culture, it led to intermarriages. Last year in PROE, they asked for the economic effect. You never know, this year we can go for social effects of the Great Strike. And what do we have here? Introduction of new culture, and it led to intermarriages. We could even have political, whereby we say new states were formed. That's political effects. And what were these new states? Mr. Mkwaya, the new states that were formed.
Orange Free States and the Transvaal.
You forgot one, Mr. Mkwaya. There were 3. Another one was?
Cape Colony.
No, it was Natal. Remember,
Sorry,
they moved from Cape Colony. They moved from Cape Colony all the way to different parts of South Africa. And they formed those 3 states, Transvaal, Natal, and Orange Free State. Those are now political effects. We have economic effects, social effect, political effects. Now, we also mentioned that the economic effects, that it led to discovery of gold and diamond. May I hear from my students, the candidates, that could you be knowing the chief mining area of gold in South Africa? The main mining area for gold in South Africa. Candidates of the year 2023, where gold is mined on large scale in South Africa. Which place is that? Yes?
Witwatersrand.
Witwatersrand. You deserve this. But I am clapping you on grounds that you know the spelling. Because even we cross spelling, wrong spellings. Now, Mr. Mkwaya, what advice do you give to these candidates in case a candidate doesn't not write the word Witwatersrand? What advice do you give to the candidate? Witwatersrand is my answer, but I don't know the spelling of Witwatersrand. I have the candidate with another answer. It can be called you can call it the Rand. Have you seen how I've cut it short? The Rand. Instead of calling it Witwatersrand, and the spelling is hard for you, you call it the Rand. Which waters run or the run? Which waters run? You can also call it the rand. Now that is the gold. How about diamond? The main area in South Africa where diamond is mined. Mr. Mkwaya, I need you now. You on back on air. Unmute your mic. For diamond, which place is that?
It is Kimbale.
Kimbali. Not Kimbali. That's
Yeah.
our accent. Our pronunciation. And Mr. Mkwaya, take a note of this word. We usually misspell the word Kimberly. This is the correct spelling. And some textbooks, Mr. Mkwaya, some textbooks, they give us a wrong spelling for Kimberly. They give you with LY here. Mr. Mkwaya, have you ever observed this?
Oh.
Yeah?
It is true.
It is true. So we need to take a note of this spelling of Kimberly. Because there is Kimberly, someone's name. And there are some learners, some candidates we do teach who are called Kimberly. Those ones they don't have this letter E. It is after R-L-Y. But Kimberly, the place, this is the right spelling. Oh yeah. We are now moving to number 24. 24. Mr. Tim, Johnny Michael, hope you are with me. May I hear your voice, Mr. Tim? Or Tim Johnny Michael? I can see him he's on platform with us, but he's not ready to unmute. I will continue with I don't know where my teacher disappeared from, but he will be back. Mr. Mkwaya, let's move on. As I wait for Mr. Okero also to come back and join the team.
Yeah. Number 24 says, give anyone a reason why deserts lack a rainfall.
Hey. And I should give it to my candidates. Candidates, why do you think there is very little or no rainfall received in deserts? There must be a reason. Wonderful. Deserts received. You deserve a hand clap. Deserts receive dry winds. That is answer number 1. 100% correct. They receive dry winds. That's the best answer. These others that they don't have thick forest, they will come. But the best answer is deserts receive dry winds. That lack what? Moisture. Very good. May I get one candidate to read number 25? Before Mr. Mkwaya, before we go to 25, I want to find out whether these learners were taught properly about deserts. What causes deserts? Candidates, you are free to unmute. Mr. Mkwaya is free to unmute, and we share what causes deserts. What causes deserts? And by the way, Mr. Mkwaya, that number came in PLO. What causes deserts? It was after last year's PLO. What causes deserts? And we marked 2 answers. 1,
human activities, then climatic variations.
Thank you very much. Human activities, climatic violation. Thank you. May I hear from these candidates also what they were taught about causes of deserts? Mr. Mkwaya, these are the 2 points that were marked last year. Causes of deserts. Number 1, dry winds. Number 1, even the child told us that why deserts lack rainfall. He said they receive dry winds. So what causes desert? Number one, dry winds. Number two, cold ocean currents. Cold. Mr. Mkwai, you remember very well when we had this in term, was it term one? When we are learning about the prevailing winds and what? Here, the dry winds are Harmattan winds. They are dry. Then, even the cold ocean currents here, they also cause deserts. They contribute to deserts. For example, here we have the cold canary. Cold canary. Then here, we have the cold Benguela. Cold Benguela. So causes of deserts, we are taking two. Number one, dry winds. Number two, cold ocean currents. Full stop. Thank you. If you have taken note of that, even my candidates, I will not stop there. Still under deserts, I have a question. We said what causes deserts, and we said dry winds, cold ocean currents. Now, do you know that there are types of deserts? There are types of desert. May I hear from Mr. Mkwaya? You tell me whether you taught that or you skipped it. My candidates, they also need to tell me whether they were taught types of deserts. Aya, hand up. We have two types of deserts. Number one, types of deserts. You never know this year, they may ask you types of deserts. And you say, the teacher never talked about it. There are two types of deserts. Mr. Mkwaya, you could be knowing them or you skipped that area.
Coastal deserts. Coastal deserts.
Coastal deserts.
And the polar deserts, those are the ones that I know.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mkwaya. Let me hear from my learners. Could you be knowing the types of deserts? Types of deserts. Mr. Mkwaya, number one, we have continental. Continental deserts. There are two types of deserts. Continental deserts. Mr. Okero is back. Continental deserts. Mr. Okero, as you have just joined, you had moved away. My question is, what causes deserts? Yeah? I had a question that what causes deserts? Mr. Okero. Okay, we had already resolved that, and we said deserts are. Did you actually come in last year's PROE, Mr. Okero? Causes of deserts, we had two answers. One, dry winds. They are here. These are Harmattan winds. They are dry. Then we have also the cold ocean currents. They cause deserts. For example, cold Canary, Sahara Desert. Cold Benguela, Namib Desert here, and the Kalahari Desert. So it's dry winds and cold ocean currents. Then I also brought in a point asking types of deserts. And we have two types of deserts. We have continental deserts and marine deserts. Continental and marine. Continental deserts, then marine deserts. Mr. Mkwaya, the child will ask you, teacher, what are continental deserts? This is how we define them. Continental deserts are deserts that are hot and dry. And what are these examples? The child will say, teacher, example of continental desert. You give that child Sahara Desert and the Kalahari Desert. They are continental deserts. And what are marine deserts? Marine deserts are deserts that are cool and dry. Deserts that are cool and dry are marine deserts. Now, the child will ask, teacher, one example of a marine desert, that is Namib Desert. Namib Desert in Namibia is a marine desert. Kalahari Desert in Botswana is a continental desert. Sahara Desert in the north of Africa is a continental desert, and it's the hottest desert in Africa. Mr. Okero, are you on air?
Yes, I'm on air.
Yes, last time I talked about inland lakes. Within these deserts, we have what we call inland lakes. And what is an inland lake? I remember last time telling you that this is a lake which has no outlet to the sea. A lake that does not have any outlet linking it to the sea is an inland lake. Now, in Africa, we have two inland lakes. There's Lake Chad and Lake Ngami. We have Lake Chad and Lake Ngami. And this is primary 7. Don't say it is maybe advanced geography and what? Lake Chad and Lake what? Ngami. Lake Chad is found in Chad. That is North Africa, Sahara Desert. Lake Ngami is found in Botswana. That is Kalahari Desert. Now, these two lakes were formed as a result of downwarping. They are downwarped lakes. Chad and Ngami, they are called inland lakes. I have a question that I will pose there, asking that why is the volume of water in Lake Ngami reducing in size? The answer one has to give is that there is high evaporation rate. It's due to high evaporation rate. Because of the too much heat, the water keeps on evaporating. Now, as it evaporates, it reduces the volume in the water body. So Lake Chad, the volume of water in Lake Chad is reducing in size because of high evaporation rate. Ngami is also reducing, the volume of water is reducing because of high evaporation rate. And those two lakes are called inland lakes. Inland lakes. What is an inland lake? A lake that does not have an outlet to the sea. Examples of inland lakes in Africa, Lake Chad and Lake Ngami. Why is the volume of water reducing? It is reducing because of high evaporation rate. Now let's move on to the next number. The next number, Desert Sea, East Africa. We are now on number 25. Mr. Mukwaya.
Where in East Africa is dairy farming practiced on a large scale?
Yes, Mr. Mukwaya, that is primary 6. Term 2. Which place is that, Mr. Mukwaya?
I think it is Kenya.
Yes, you are correct, Mr. Mukwaya. You cannot be denied the mark. But you have mentioned the entire country, and yet we wanted a specific area. Which part is that in Kenya, Mr. Mukwaya?
Kenya Highlands.
You deserve a hand clap, Mr. Mukwaya. It is Kenya Highlands. That's where dairy farming is practiced on large scale. And the group of foreigners who started dairy farming in Kenya Highlands, these are the white settlers. And the leader of these white settlers, Mr. Okero, come on board. Who was the leader of the white settlers in Kenya Highlands? Or who introduced dairy farming in Kenya Highlands? Mr. Okero, primary 6. Who introduced dairy farming in Kenya Highlands? Who was the leader of the white settlers in Kenya? This man was called Lord, Mr. Mkwaya, add on. Lord who?
Lord Delamere.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mkwaya. Lord Delamere. He started dairy farming in the Kenya Highlands. He was the leader of the white settlers in Kenya. And still, we shall not stop there. They will ask you. Actually, there was a year in Piero when they asked that which system of farming is practiced in the Kenya Highlands. Mr. Mkwaya, some years back, Piero, which system do you think is that? That the white settlers? Okay, it's dairy farming. But the method of farming that is applied in the Kenya Highlands. These white settlers, they carry out dairy farming, it is true. But under dairy farming, there are methods that they apply. For example, we have traditional ways of keeping cattle, modern ways of keeping cattle. Now, which modern way of keeping cattle is practiced by the white settlers in the Kenya Highlands, or was practiced? The modern way, because they don't use the traditional way. That number came in Piero. Mr. Okero, help Mr. Mkwaya. They use this one called the paddock method. Mr. Mkwaya, it is paddock method. They keep them in paddocks. I think you are getting me. It is paddock method, which is applied in Kenya Highlands. And this method was introduced by the, before I forget, another number that we usually set there is, why do you think, or which factor attracted the white settlers to carry out dairy farming in the Kenya Highlands? What factor is that? What factor attracted the white settlers to carry out dairy farming in the Kenya Highlands? Mr. Mkwaya, do you have any point? Mr. Okero, my students.
Presence of pastures.
Presence of?
Pastures.
Pasture is number one. Enough pasture. Mr. Okero.
Availability of water.
Water.
Yes.
Yes, water is okay. I agree with you. Then there is also cool climate. Mr. Mkwaya. Cool climate serves, and enough land. Enough land was also a point. Now, Mr. Mkwaya, if you remember very well, these white, do you remember that the white settlers, when they occupied the Kenya Highlands, this contributed to a rebellion in Kenya? Which rebellion was that?
Mau Mau Rebellion.
Yeah, it is Mau Mau Rebellion. And the reason for Mau Mau Rebellion is that these Kikuyu people wanted back their grabbed land. The land that these white settlers had grabbed. So one of the causes of Mau Mau Rebellion was the Kikuyu wanted back their grabbed land. The land these white settlers had grabbed. Okay, now let's proceed. The next slide. The next slide. Oh, this one is it? Yeah, now it is Sierra E. Let's share something about Sierra E. Okay, Mr. Okero.
Yes, please.
You are telling us why that gentleman was circumcised at the age of 80 days.
To fulfill scripture.
I beg your pardon?
To fulfill scripture.
To fulfill the scriptures. Thank you for trying. Let me hear from the team, the school. Say, Ismail. Why do you think, by the way, even they are not, some are not sure whether Jesus was circumcised. They are even asking the friends, was Jesus a Muslim? Jesus was circumcised, and we want to know why he was circumcised at the age of 80 days. Any child, you tell us? Candidates.
Fulfill the Jewish culture.
Oh, yeah, I can even dance for you. Wow, that child has given us the right answer. Mr. Mkwaya, anything to supplement? Mr. Mkwaya? Nothing. Now, that girl gave us the right answer. I don't know whether it's a girl or a boy. But the fact is to fulfill the culture of the Jews. That's why Jesus was circumcised at the age of 80 days. Now, how does this happen? Even Muslims today borrowed that idea that when a male child is born, that child is supposed to go home by the mom for 1 week. Mr. Mkwaya, are you taking note of this? Because the children are going to ask you in the class, why 80 days? It was a culture of the Jews that at every 80 days, once a male child is born, he's supposed to be circumcised. And that culture is still adopted by Muslims, that a Muslim child is born. After 1 week, they advise the parents to take that child to the hospital for circumcision. You go back after the child is born, 1, 2, the first week, those 7 days done, that's a week done. Then you take the child for circumcision. The same happened to Jesus. He was circumcised at the age of 80 days to fulfill the culture of the Jews. I think that one is clear. Now, if you handle both in your school, it is also okay. Now we share. Why are male Muslims circumcised? Who is responding to this? Mr. Okero, Mr. Mkwaya? Why do Muslims circumcise males? Anybody with an idea? All my students. Candidates, why do you think Muslims are circumcised? Mr. Mkwaya, I've seen you dodge that part of IRE. You dodge it. Now, male Muslims are circumcised. There are 2 answers or 3. One is to promote cleanliness. To promote cleanliness. Another one will say it is a sign of purity. You understand that when I say cleanliness, they assume that once this thing, as males, once the foreskin is there, that they assume that you are not clean. So once it is removed, this foreskin, they are promoting cleanliness. To promote cleanliness or purity. Those are the reasons for circumcision. Now, today, even non-Muslims circumcise, but they circumcise not for religious belief, they circumcise for the scientific part of it, which is to reduce the risks of one getting HIV, AIDS, or sexually transmitted diseases. That's why the Ministry of Health today is encouraging families or parents to take their children, even adults, to go for circumcision. That's why they have even made it free circumcision. And one, scientifically, that it reduces the risks of one getting HIV, AIDS, or sexually transmitted diseases. But reducing does not mean that it's a guarantee that one cannot get AIDS. Don't assume that maybe Muslims don't die of AIDS. They do. But it reduces the risks or the chances of one getting HIV, AIDS. But when we go to the religious part of it, that's not for Muslims. For Muslims, the religious part of it is to promote cleanliness, or it is a sign of purity. Now, 27, Mr. Okero, may I hear from you?
27, what is reconciliation? Reconciliation is the bringing back the broken relationship.
Very good. It's the bringing back of the lost friendship. The restoring of the lost friendship. Mr. Mkwaya, I think that's the same way you teach that. Mr. Mkwaya?
It is the same way.
The same way. Restoring of the lost friendship, bringing back of the lost friendship is what we refer to as reconciliation. Thank you, thank you. Let's proceed to the next number. The next number, who is taking us through this next number is Mr. Okero or my students? May I hear from my students? Because if I don't engage them, they will sleep, they will doze and disappear. Yes, Senkuja Ismail. May I get one candidate? Reading number 30. Oh, if I don't engage you people, you are going to disappear. Huh? Mr. Mkwaya, let's read for them.
How do Christians express the value of kindness to other people?
How do Christians express the value of kindness?
Now, my candidates, how do you are the very Christian we are talking about. How do you express the value of kindness? Please tell us how you show kindness to others. Hello? What do you do to express kindness?
By helping the needy. By helping the needy.
By helping the needy. You deserve a hand clap. Another candidate. Another candidate. How do we show the value? How do we express the value of kindness to other people?
Through sharing with one another.
There are many ways. Mr. Mkwaya, you can add on and we summarize. Wonderful. Actually, we wanted to hear from these learners because they know how they promote that. Sharing with one another, visiting the sick in hospitals, donating food to the poor, donating clothes to the poor. All those are ways we show kindness to other people. And that's great. Mr. Mkwaya and Mr. Okero, I'm of the view that we shall handle section B next time. Now, the remaining minutes is if there is need something we need to share that is burning, please let's raise it. If you have seen an area where you have issues and you need to as a team, we bring heads together and come up with the resolution for that. Let's use this opportunity in the few remaining minutes. Where you had a number and it was giving you headache, we need to resolve it now. Even my candidates, where you feel you don't get the right thing, they try to explain and you don't get it, please bring it on board as we conclude. I think I should begin with Mr. Mkwaya. Mr. Mkwaya, if I ask a number, that if it is 5, right now, let me check on my time. It is 4:40, but we don't say 4:40 in telling time. We can say, okay, let's say it is 20 minutes to 5 o'clock. What is the time in Rwanda? If they bring that number, it's 20 minutes to 4 in Uganda. What is the time now in Rwanda? If they bring that number for your candidates in P7 as number 3 or 4 PROE, do you think they would pass that number? Mr. Okero, also. And you must have taught something and emphasize that in order for these learners to get that number right. Mr. Mkwaya, anything to say? Okay. Now that number, Mr. Mkwaya, if it happens to appear, there is no way your child is going to calculate to use any method you told them. But if when you have never talked about the time difference in Rwanda with Uganda, Uganda and Rwanda, they are neighbors, but they don't have the same standard time because they are found in different time zones. Uganda is ahead of Rwanda by 1 hour, meaning if it is 5 in Uganda, Rwanda, it is 4. Are you seeing how it is very simple and clear? We are ahead of Rwanda by 1 hour. If it is 5 here in Uganda, in Rwanda it is 4 p.m. So the child, once the child knows that, we'll just put the answer direct. That's another point we need to emphasize when teaching time difference and time zone. We teach a time zone as a region on the globe with the same standard time. With the same standard time. Another number that usually was brought in that area and our learners failed. They said, if it is, let's assume, Mr. Mkwaya, if it is 3 p.m. at Accra, we know that Accra is crossed by the prime meridian. It came in PROE some years back. What is the time in East Africa? Now, Mr. Mkwaya, Mr. Okero, and another teacher, if you have taught these children that this is how we calculate time, every 15 degrees is 1 hour, therefore when they give you 45, you divide by this and you get this, the child will look for the degrees to divide by, and the child will not get them because they are not there in the question. The question is saying it is 3 p.m. at Accra. What is the time in East Africa? Now, how is the child going to divide the three? The degrees are not there. You must have taught this child that East Africa lies or is located at 45 degrees east. Properly in P, right from P6. That's when the child will be able to pass that number. The child will come up with the 45 degrees and then divide and or will draw the number line and use the number line method and get the right answer. So there are some facts we need to emphasize when handling those points. When handling such points. But I said it's time for me to hear from you. Don't say that again, the person we wanted to hear our points is the one again giving us easy points. Higher, Mr. Okero, Mr. Mkwaya, and my candidates. Anything to say? Mr. Okero, if there is nothing, I'm about to say bye-bye to you. Mr. Okero, I can see you. Mr. Okero, I can see you.
Okay. There's this area. I want some clarity because I have been following some discussions on one of the WhatsApp platforms that we are having, whereby the question was about the origin of Chuli and then the Langi. Some books that some of our teachers are having, it is telling people that Langi and then the Chuli people, they have the same origin. But some teachers, they're having a book telling them that Langi originated from Ethiopia highlands, then actually they originated from Bahr el Ghazal. So I want some clarity there.
Thank you very much. And actually, thank you for reminding me. We have an issue here. And we need to be very careful. There is what we call ethnic groups and sub-ethnic groups. For example, the River Lake Nilotes, Plain, and Highland. These are sub-ethnic groups. The ethnic group, if they ask for the ethnic group and you give these ones, you will not get a mark, Mr. Okero. Emphasize that to the learners. The ethnic group, we take Nilotes. So all these are Nilotes. The major ethnic group is called what? Nilotes. These are sub-ethnic groups. So when they ask which ethnic group entered Uganda through, if they ask you, name the ethnic group that entered Uganda using this direction here, then the child says River Lake Nilotes. That child will be marked wrong. Because River Lake Nilotes is not an ethnic group. It is a sub-ethnic group. It is a sub. The ethnic group we take is this one, the Nilotes. But if I'm very clear and I say the sub-ethnic group, then the child will give me River Lake Nilotes. What is the origin of the River Lake Nilotes, the Kuradoland? We shall take Bahel Gazelle. It is okay. They migrated from Bahel Gazelle to enter Uganda. This River Lake. But if we have joined all and we say the origin for the Nilotes, we shall go back to the other place, which you say the Ethiopian island. The Ethiopian island. Then another area of concern is, Mr. Okero, listen, we have Jaja. There's this one, I use this as a slogan, or I'm forgetting the tribes under different sub-ethnic groups. Kilik and Jaja. Jaja is for the River Lake Nilotes. Kilik is for the plain Nilotes. Kilik. Now, Kilik. K is for Kalimajongs, Iteso, Langi, and Kumam. Take a note that the Kakwa don't lie here. Some books were giving us also the Kakwa, but we don't bring the Kakwa here. The Kakwa, we take them where? The Kakwa now, they are proved to be Sudanic. They are proved to be Sudanic. Kakwa. So what do we have under the plain Nilotes? We have the Kalimajongs, the Iteso, the Langi, and the Kumam in Uganda. Then under River Lake Nilotes, what do we have? Jaja. Jaja, this is the Jopadora, the Acholi, the Jaluo, now the Jaluo in Western Kenya, the Jonam, and Arul. All these people are Nilotes, but they are subdivided into 3 groups. If you are asking for the place of origin, then you have to be specific. Place of origin for River Lake Nilotes, then we shall take Bahel Gazelle. For the plain Nilotes, we shall go to Ethiopia. Even the highland Nilotes, we shall go to Ethiopian islands. I think I'm very clear, Mr. Okero. Yeah,
it's correct now.
Thank you very much. I think I can conclude. Mr. Mkwaya, anything before I say bye-bye to the team?
Oh, no, I'm just contented, sir.
Thank you very much, please, members now. I'm very happy, especially. Mr. Mkwaya, Mr. Okero, whenever I come for you have actually this is what they call a lesson. If you leave someone battling alone, then you leave, the person will not understand whether people are following, whether people are understanding. What you have done is very, very good, and I'm very happy to support. We've been sharing knowledge. Okay, learning does not end. You learn from one another. So I'm very happy, and thank you very much for your contribution. May God bless you.
Thank you so much.